Welcome to Everything is Messy, the podcast. I'm your host, Kellyanne Gorman. I'm someone who loves to create content, products, and services to help others level up in business and in life. I even wrote a book about it, and now I have a store. Everything is Messy is a one-stop shop for women who want it and deserve it all. From personal development to productivity, podcasting and publishing, small business strategies to entrepreneurship, and so much more. Tune in every week to enjoy this one-of-a-kind podcast experience and hear fun, fearless, and focused conversations from myself and my incredible guests. From trending topics to stories of resilience and all things business. And let's not forget about a few of my favorites: mindset, healthy recipes, and organizing tips. These episodes are created to get you to where you want to be right now. The purpose of the show is to motivate you, inspire you, and prove to you that anything is possible if you just put in the work. So grab your favorite notebook and pen, because it's time to get organized and turn those dreams of yours into reality. I'm living proof that manifesting and visualizing and having a never give up attitude work. And now it's my job to help you achieve your goals by doing the same, or just to provide some laughs along the way. I'm so glad you are here. Today's episode starts now. Hello, and welcome to the final episode of 2021. Episode 299. We've made it. We made it through another year. This has been one insane wild ride, specifically this year and throughout the pandemic, and to keep coming here and recording and sharing content and things that will really help you level up personally and professionally. Today, I'm going to do a little year in review. I just went through an entire year of episodes, and I'm going to sum it up for you really quickly, because I know that your time is valuable and it's the end of the year and you're probably running around doing a million things just as I am. But if you've listened to the last couple of episodes, I have been sharing specifically what I do when it comes to getting organized and staying productive, and how I set myself up for the day, the week, the month, the year, literally sharing it all. And then the visuals I'm filming on TikTok. So sometimes you can't really understand from a podcast, you need a visual. So I'm piggybacking all the content. So I wanted to share that with you. But also, I think it's really important to say this again, because there's, so many people want to manifest and visualize and have all these grand ideas for the next new year, which a lot of people are working on now. Last episode 298, I shared how I just finished mapping everything out. And I started this podcast knowing absolutely nothing. In 2016, I took an idea, turned it into a show, and turned it into a full-blown production company. And I had no idea what I was doing. And TikTok was not a thing back then. And 2016 seems like forever ago. I was still living in Vegas. It's just, so long ago. But I'm glad we're here. I'm glad you're here. So I literally would sit down and try to record, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And Gary Vaynerchuk, I always say this, he would just say, just fucking start. So I fucking started. And if you listen to the very first episode, my intro, you can hear our fire alarm. The battery was dead, so you could hear it beeping. I didn't know how to produce. I was uploading video files instead of audio files. My graphics were wretched. I knew how to write, but I didn't know how to produce. And then I taught myself how to produce. And then long story short, my clients and friends of mine in the online space were asking me how I just launched my podcast, because not many people were doing what I did then. Actually, nobody was doing what I did. And I launched my show. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I had a purpose. I had a mission. The only reason why I wanted a podcast was because I thought I was going to be blind and paralyzed. And the only thing left I would have at the end of the day is my voice. So I would need my voice to make money and to survive in this world. That is why I started my podcast. What kind of content did I launch with was what kind of content did I have? I didn't know what I was going to do, but I just needed to speak on what I knew best. And that was business, LinkedIn, and my life with an autoimmune disease. And that's how this whole magical ride started back in 2016. I remember I was sitting at my favorite happy hour spot on the Las Vegas Strip. It was my birthday, because everything I always do that's important to me is on my birthday. 1, because I won't forget. And 2, it's a fun anniversary. So I told her on my birthday when we were at happy hour, I've been hiding something. She's like, oh my God, I knew it. You've been acting weird. You know that feeling when your friend's like off, you're like, something's up. And I said, I have a podcast. And I showed her the graphic. And she's like, wait, what? Back then we were like, what's a podcast? And that's how it all started. And then everybody asked like how I did it. And I realized I needed to put together a program where I could help people. So I started coaching people. I started producing for people. I started writing for people. And then I completed like a whole done-for-you service for one client. And that's what people wanted more of because they didn't want to learn it. They didn't have time. So they paid me and I did it for them. So I write, I do demos, I produce, I design the whole website. Like it's a complete done-for-you service. And I've been doing that since 2017. I took my idea, I created something from nothing. I literally spent $1.17, I think it was, with tax on a brand new GoDaddy website. And then obviously the next year you have to pay full price, but it was $1. I got my first month free for my Blueberry podcast hosting support and the website and all of that, which I still use to this day. I've developed more than 25 shows and they're all through Blueberry because they're the best. And I've talked about them for years and years. Their customer service is hands down the best, but they also have a larger syndicating platform, which I've talked about so many other shows, but that's who I use and that's who I transfer my shows to. You know, if I have a client and they're not getting downloads and nobody's seeing them, they're not on enough platforms. So I take their show and I move it to Blueberry and then all of a sudden they're getting like thousands of downloads. So that's like a prime example. But I literally had no idea what I was doing. I had an idea and I made it happen. And this is what has happened. I'm sure if you're on TikTok, you've seen with so many people where they had to pivot their business during the pandemic. They had to figure out like, how am I going to survive? And that's basically what I did. It was like full-blown survival mode. And then I started making money and I'm like, okay, now I have a waiting list. Now I need a podcast school. Now I need like another done-for-you service. Now there's so many avenues where I branched out. Sometimes I just write for people. Sometimes I just produce for them. Sometimes I spent almost 2 years with one client and we still haven't launched because there's so much content. It really depends on the person, but every single client of mine that has launched a show, you can read all my reviews. That's one thing I pride myself on is the service that I give them, is that they are always satisfied. And I just always want to make sure that they're doing a podcast for the right reason. Like there's a purpose. Like I need to be aligned with my clients. I don't want to be producing a show that I actually hate the topic. Like for example, oh my gosh, what is the podcast that everybody's like obsessed with? They're like scary. Why am I not thinking of this word? Anyway, I'm not into those series. Like Dr. Death, that gives me crazy PTSD. So I can't be producing a show like that. So no offense, we're not like, we can't be like horror or like any scary kind of show. Like, why can't I think of the word right now? Oh my God, I hate when this happens to me. But I need to be aligned with the person that I'm writing and producing for. It just doesn't make sense to work on a project for money when I'm not aligned. Like I'm not going to do a good job. I've tried that before and it was absolutely awful. And I hated the work I was doing. Even though my client loved it, I absolutely dreaded doing it. And so now I'm being like, well, over the last few years, I should say, extremely specific on or who I'm working with. But the whole point of the moral of this story is that if you're going into the new year and you want to launch a new business, you want to do something brand new, you want to pivot your brand, you want to close your business, you want to start something that no one's like create and invent a product. Like look at Sarah Blakely. She just sold her company for billions to a women-founded investing company. They just picked up Supergroup as well. And she's a multi-billionaire. She invented Spanx. Like she used to sell faxes door to door. Like her story is so inspiring. And I just want to reiterate, like you can have whatever it is that you want if you write shit down and you put in the work. I talk about this in my book all of the time and it's from personal experience. Like there's no way if I didn't work my ass off and I didn't have this fear of dying and going blind that I would never have this podcast. But immediately what I did was I turned my idea into something positive to help more patients. And then I rebranded multiple times. And that's just what you do when you have a podcast and you have a brand. Like you're always growing and that's a good thing. And some things like no longer resonate with you. So you're just over it. And that's fine too. Like, it's your business. It's up to you. But it is your job to let your followers, your friends, your family, like whoever is on the other side of this content that you're creating, or product or brand or service, let them know. So something I always share with my clients is that, if you're going to take a break from your show, like, you've got to let your listeners know, because they're going to come back and be like, what the hell? Like, where did she go? Or if you just disappear off social media, you need to say, like, I'm taking a break. And that's happened to me, especially like for mental health reasons. Like, you got to just peace out sometimes and get the hell off Instagram. And I'm like, I'll be back later. Like, you just got to let your followers know and be open and honest with them as much as you can. Like, literally keep it real. So I just wanted to share that story with you because, going through all these episodes over the last year of 2021, it just like really hit me. And, I'm doing all of like my scheduling and my goals, and I talk all about my personal and professional goals. I shared a lot of them on the last episode, 298. If you need help getting to where you want to be, I do hourly coaching. I have coaching programs. I have, like I said, the complete done for you podcast service. Is that if this is something that you want is a podcast, I would love to help you. We need to be aligned, but you need to message me like ASAP, because I only am taking one client a month from now on in 2022, maybe two, but right now I have a lot on my plate, which, by the way, if you listen to episode 300, which will air January 1st, 2022, I have 3 huge announcements that I've been keeping a secret for like months. So stay tuned for that. But I have a lot to do in regards to those projects. So I don't want to overwork myself because, I'm not the happy workaholic anymore. Although I am, but I'm not. You know what I mean? So after mapping out like my days, my week, my month, my year at a glance, putting together all my goals, putting together my new content schedules, my filming schedule, my recording schedule, like everything I want out of this new year, you really you keep looking back like, holy shit, like I've done this, or like, holy shit, I've done that. Like, wow, I didn't think I could do that. And you really need to take time to reflect and figure out what it is that you really want out of this next year. Like, maybe you want to leave your job. Maybe you want to start a new brand. Maybe you want to rebrand. I've done it all. So if you need any help, like seriously, just reach out, because my half off offer ends 12/31. So hopefully you are listening before then. If you're not, we can figure something out, and please seriously just message me. But the podcast deal is 50% off, and that is extremely hard to come by. I only do that a couple times a year, and it sells out every time. So if a podcast is on your 2022 list, you must contact me like ASAP. Okay, so now, long story short, I've created something from absolutely nothing, and you can do the same. If you haven't read my book, you can sign up for my newsletter and get a copy for free. P.S. Okay, now let's dive into my year in review with this show. This is going to be super short and sweet, by the way, because I just want to kind of give you a rundown. So if you missed shows, if you want to scroll back and listen to some other ones, if you want to leave a review for me on Apple Podcasts, I would truly appreciate that. Creating content is a lot. And when you see reviews, it's like, oh, I am doing something right, So I really love to see those and read those. And if you haven't ever done that, I would really, really appreciate it. If you're not on Apple Podcasts, you can go to my Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Kellyanne Gorman Official. I will link it in the show notes for you, and you can leave me a review there. If you're listening on another app and there's nowhere for you to review, just head to my Facebook page. I'd really appreciate that. It really means a lot to people that create content when you're getting feedback, especially when you've been doing it for many, many years. So I'm thanking you in advance. Okay, so let's start back in January of 2021. A couple of the shows I recorded back in January was obviously my first episode, How You Can Level Up in the New Year. And I shared a lot of personal life stories, as well as different ways that you can advertise your business. In February, I recorded a number of episodes on mental health and my PTSD, as well as how creativity and mental health are kind of like a win-win, and how you can be a multi-passionate entrepreneur like myself. I always share from personal experience, so if you're into that kind of thing, definitely tune in. Having a creative outlet when it comes to mental health, I think is really important. It's really helped me a lot. In March, I took some time off, and then I recorded, when I came back, a show titled Why It's Important to Take a Break. And I've taken a couple breaks this year from recording, and you definitely need them, because I don't realize until I'm like burnt out, which is bad, which is so bad. I always take on a lot more than I can creative-wise, and your brain just shuts off after a certain time. You're like, why am I even trying to do this? So in March, I recorded that show, Why It's Important to Take a Break. And then when I came back in April, I talked a lot about time management and how to improve your credit score. I shared a lot of work from home tips, and that's when I started my wellness journey. That's when I started rowing, if you can remember, all the way back in April. And then in May, I did kind of like a wellness update. I did more mental health episodes. I did a big podcasting Q&A where I asked on all of my social channels what podcasting tips and tricks you need. Like, it was a whole Q&A episode. I think it was over an hour. So if you're looking for podcast tips and tricks and just Q&A info, I was extremely thorough on that. I do remember that episode. And then I even talked about my vaccine and the side effects that I got and how it was awful. And I even recorded an episode about self-publishing, and that was a little bit long too. And it was jam-packed, filled with like all the shit that nobody tells you about self-publishing. I was really lucky to work with Gabby Bernstein and her team to get all the information I needed in order to publish. And then I ended up creating my own publishing company, which is called A Million Dreams. And there's a lot of self-publishing info in that episode. So if you're looking to write a book and self-publish, you're definitely going to want to listen to that episode back in May. And then in June, the Happy Workaholic podcast turned into and was rebranded into the Everything is Messy podcast, which is what you're listening to now. So again, I took a whole month off because that is when I created my 2 LinkedIn schools and my 2 podcast schools, and rebranded Everything the Happy Workaholic to Everything is Messy collection. And this podcast is based off of my book, and I changed the format of the show, and I don't think I had any guests on this year. I talked a lot about businesses because I did a small business series, which I launched in mid-October until last week was the last episode. And I think that was almost like 8 weeks of small business shout outs throughout the holiday season. But I finally needed a break to create these schools because I'm just one person, So if I'm going to develop a podcast, I put all of my energy into that for my client. But if somebody wants to develop their own podcast on their own time, then I need to have options. So I finally created a school. So there's 2 versions for the podcast and the LinkedIn. So start your podcast today and leverage your LinkedIn today are the do-it-yourself schools. So you get some video chats with me, you get some one-on-one time with me, but it's all on your own pace. So if you're like, okay, I only have X amount of dollars, I really don't want to deal with somebody else, I just want to figure it out. Those are the 2 schools that you'll want to invest in. And there's so much audio, video, written content, and you get time with me one-on-one. So if you're looking for something like that in the new year, it's start your podcast today and leverage your LinkedIn today. Those are the DIYs when it comes to the school options. And then if you want a pro version, if you're ready to ramp up your LinkedIn and get you to where you need to be on there, network, get a job, become a content creator, take advantage of everything that LinkedIn has to offer, you would want the Leverage Your LinkedIn Pro school that I created. And then when it comes to podcasting for a done-for-you service, what you would want to invest in is your podcast production. That's what it's called. So I go over all that stuff, but I created those schools in that time, those months I had taken off, because I had literally content from every day, every week from 2016 to go through and edit and produce and write and direct and do all the things to create these schools so that I am able to help more people. Like I said, I'm one person. I can't hold everybody's hand anymore. but I still wanted to create something amazing that would help you get exactly what you needed. So that's why I took the time off to do all those schools. So there's 4. And then in July, I came back and I started talking more about passive income, affiliate marketing, how you can start, how you can create profitable side hustle and all of that, like big money month. And then in August, I took another month off and came back with why it's important. Again, I totally got burnt out after creating all those schools. You need a mental and business break, and how you can then come back and increase productivity. And then I shared so many tips, tools, apps, like how I run my business on the go. So that's what August was primarily based on. And then in September, I talked about setting boundaries. I did a wellness update. I shared a bunch of recipes. I shared all my favorite self-care situations, my routines. And then moving into money and business, I talked about my recording and repurposing schedule, why you need to why you need to research your hashtags. If you live online and run a business on the internet, you need to think of your hashtags as Google. And I've been telling my clients this for years, like you have to spend the time. I remember people literally used to PayPal me money to create their hashtags for them, like years ago. And I would do it because I'm obsessed with researching shit. So I would literally go on the platforms and see like, what are their competitors using? What are people using to look them up? And so you really need to spend the time and energy in researching hashtags if you need to use them for your business or just be found online, period. And then I shared a little bit more on podcasting. And then this is when I started talking about budget and giving you more like money tips, because every single day since like mid-September, I've been writing down by month, like each month I have a list of what I'm spending money on every single day, because I needed, after August, like I remember I spent like hundreds of dollars going out to happy hour. I don't even know how that's possible because it's happy hour pricing, but I spent hundreds of dollars. So then I was like, okay, well that needs to be cut in at least half. And if I'm going to live by coastal, like I need to have a process. Like I need to know what the hell I'm wasting money on. So I started writing down every single day what I'm spending money on. So I've cut it each and every month. So I'm actually going to do an episode on this, like a whole budget recap in 2022 when it comes to, when we get closer to like tax season and how I prepare my taxes and how I am organized with all of that stuff. And I actually share a couple tips. I think it's on 296 or 297, those 2 episodes, the things that I do on a weekly, monthly basis so that when it comes to tax time, I'm not like stressed the fuck out like everybody else. I'm super organized. I literally just tally things up and hand it to my accountant. Like you can't get it any easier than that. So in 2022, I'll do a show all about my budget recap and share with you the numbers, like how much I actually stop spending like each and every month. And then in October, I talked more about that, like budgeting tips, writing shit down every day. That's when I launched the small business series I talked about, and then why you need to be on TikTok and how to avoid burnout as an entrepreneur, because I'm the queen bee of burning out. I feel like I've burnt out a couple times this year now that I'm looking at my year in front of me, like written down, but I survived. So that's the most important thing. And then moving into November, I started talking more about patient advocacy because that is on my to-do list for the new year, is to work with a brand on the patient advocacy level. And there's a few I'm looking at right now, but there's also been a lot of crazy personal health stories that I've been sharing. And then back to business, I've been sharing more about the social media algorithms and again, TikTok. And now here in December, I've been talking about how you can improve your income by adding additional revenue streams into your household or your business. Obviously, more episodes on mental health. And then the last few episodes, I would say 296, 297, and 298. Scroll back if you haven't listened to those because they're all about how to get you more productive, super focused and organized and ready for this brand new year in 2022. I literally share every single thing that I do. Now, again, as always, if you need a visual, go to my TikTok because I film it there. So I'm sharing all my favorite tips, tools, apps, strategies, my color coding system, like literally all of it, why it's so important to write shit down and all of that. So that's the year. That was the whole year of the podcast. I always try to do one of these year in reviews like every year at the end of the year. It's just insane when you like see the whole year in front of you. I'm like, holy shit, wow, what a ride. And I'm so glad that you were here for it. Again, if you haven't left a review on Apple Podcasts, I would really love it if you would do so today. And I will send you a copy of my ebook, Everything is Messy, as a thank you. And even, you know what, it's the end of the year, I will send you a signed copy of the paperback as well. So just screenshot and tag me, Kellyanne Gorman Official, on either TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. It's just Kellyanne Gorman. Tag me and let me know, and I will send you a book signed as well as the ebook. How about that? Just as a thank you, because I'm so glad that you are here, and I've been doing this for many years, and I'm switching a lot of things up in the new year and bringing on a lot of guests. Guests I'm currently looking for are experts in the brain health and gut health areas, as well as inflammation, lymphatic drainage. Like, I'm going to do a whole holistic series, and I cannot wait, because this show is all about my life experiences and sharing them with you so that I can help you in your own life level up, or maybe avoid some of the things that I've done and save you some time, money, and energy along the way. And I think that it's really important that I'm 100% honest all the time, which I have been since day one. There's nothing on this show I have missed. I mean, you can even hear the doctor's names that misdiagnosed me. You can hear all about my med-mal legal cases, like all of that. And I'm so glad I represented myself, by the way. All of that is here on this show. So there's nothing about my life that's missing on these episodes. I just like to keep it real and raw. And that's exactly what the show is all about, is to really like get to, you know, by you listening, it's going to help you get to where you need to be, whether it's personal or professional, or as I say in the intro and outro, find a new friend and have some laughs, because there's a lot of that's happening. So episode 300 is going to air January 1st, 2022. And there are 3 huge fucking announcements that I have been holding inside of my mouth and I haven't shared for months. So I'm so excited I can finally share that. I can share like new content, and the 3 big announcements are what I'm like so excited about the most. But to wrap up today's episode, I just wanted to say thank you to you, because if you don't listen, I don't have a show. So again, please leave me a review. Let me know which episode this year was your favorite. I would love to read it. And again, send you a signed copy of my book, Everything is Messy. And also, thank you so much to this year's sponsors. If you guys want to hook up with any of these brands, I have them. All you need to do is visit the show notes and visit kellyanngorman.com and the page titled Brand Deals. I just updated that a couple days ago, and I have deals for you for Super Coffee, which of course, that's how I survive and start each and every day. 15% off. You can use the code SuperKelly. Again, all the links will be in the show notes. Honeybook is a one-stop shop for any small business owner. They have proposals and contracts and payment portals and invoicing systems, like everything you need to run your business in one happy little place. It's called Honeybook, and it's half off for you. So again, visit the Brand Deals page. How I improved my credit is Self-Credit Builder. Fetch Rewards app is how I track all my receipts and get points to spend more or donate, shop online. Backblaze, repurpose.io, and Blueberry podcast hosting. So many more deals. I literally just updated everything. I took out a bunch of brands. I added a few brands. I'm adding even more brands in 2022, which I cannot wait to announce. Maybe a few I will on episode 300. But I wanted to just do a 2021 year in review, kind of rewind, share of all the episodes that I have recorded over this entire year, and also remind you that you can create something from nothing. It's possible. I'm here. I've done it. I'm living proof. And then again, in 2022, I'm going to do my budget recap. So I believe I started mid-September, because I remember I wanted to do 3 full months, October, November, December, but I started like mid-September because I did a show on it. So I have to look in my files, but If you want to launch a podcast in 2022 and you want to take advantage of the half off or any of the LinkedIn podcast schools or my private coaching, you need to get a hold of me ASAP because it's half off for you as a listener, and I need to give you a code so you can check out on my site. But I just wanted to say thank you so much, and I'm so pumped up. I'm so fired up for this new year because I am all organized and ready to go. And I just hope that you listen to episode 296 and 97. If you really are feeling like all over the place and need to get organized and just need some visuals, just go to my TikTok. But I'm creating content that people are asking me for. Like one of the big announcements on episode 300 is something that people have been asking me for over 1 year. And now I'm making the time to do it, which is why I'm only taking one podcast client to develop their show a month. So if that's you, hit me up. And thank you again from the bottom of my heart for, oh my God, I'm like getting emotional. Why am I emotional? The show's not ending. It's just the last episode of the year. What the hell? And it's time for my next juice for sure. I'm on a 3-day juice cleanse. You'll hear about that if you scroll back to episode 297. I like to torture myself sometimes. But I'm just so grateful you're here, you're listening. And please, like, if you can do anything today, leave me a review on Apple Podcasts because they mean so much. And the more reviews you get, the more content people will see, and I'm able to help more people. That's the whole purpose. Like, I wouldn't be recording a podcast just to make money. Like, I'm doing this to help you. So again, if there's anything you want me to help you with, just let me know. Like, message me online, send me a message on my website, and I would love to record a show and do like a Q&A if it's a specific topic that you think I'm well versed on, or I'll just let you know, like, I have no idea what that's about. Like, don't ask me about NFTs because I know nothing about them, although I would like to learn. I'll definitely have some people on the podcast in regards to that topic in the new year. But I'm off to go to Target and to Marshall's and to go do some returns. So fingers crossed I'm not waiting in 5-hour lines because it's now like 4 o'clock on a Sunday. But thank you again for listening. It truly means the world to me. I hope you scroll back and binge some of these episodes if you're looking for that type of content. And the easiest way for you to do that is if you go to kellyannegorman.com, scroll down a little bit on the homepage on the right, there's a search bar. And just type in the specific words of content you're looking for. I did that on purpose because, you know, me and my organized self, so that you can find shows that you're looking for. And then you can listen on my site, but there's all links so that it'll take you right to your favorite app to listen to. So that's it. That's all I have. What a year. Holy shit. It's been a crazy year. But I am feeling really good. Like, you can hear my voice. Like, I'm excited about 2022. I am going to be traveling, so fingers crossed, not like overseas or anything, just not local. And so I'm taking my office to go, so I have to prepare and write a bunch of stuff because for some reason I can't like write when I travel, especially to the place that I'm going to. So a lot of work has to be done beforehand, but stay tuned for episode 300. Make sure you sign up for my newsletter, by the way. You'll actually get a copy of my ebook for free when you do so. The link is in the notes, but you can just go to kellyannegorman.com or everythingismessy.com. Sign up for my newsletter because that's where you get all my deals, my episodes, like everything I do first goes to my newsletter crew. And I'm grateful for them as well. If you're on there, thank you so much for subscribing. If you've never received a copy of my ebook, you know where to find me. I'll be more than happy to send you one. But I hope that you have the most happiest, healthiest, most positive, most productive fucking 2022 because I'm so ready for a new year. That's it. That's all I have. Thank you so much for listening as always. And please don't forget to leave those reviews, screenshot, tag me, and you will get a gift. Thank you so much. And I will talk to you in the new year. Thanks so much for tuning in to Everything is Messy, the podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard today, I would love to know. Just leave me a review on the app or website you're listening on. To learn more about myself, join the community, read my book, or shop the collection, visit everythingismessy.com. While you're there, be sure to sign up to receive my weekly newsletter so you get all my announcements first. For all the behind the scenes and day-to-day content, follow along on Instagram at KellyanneGormanOfficial and Everything is Messy Collection. Links are in the show notes. If you have a product, brand, story, or service service you would like to share, send me a message on everythingismessy.com today. As always, thanks for listening, sharing, and reviewing. It truly means the world to me. Wishing you a happy, healthy, positive, and productive day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Everything is Messy is produced and syndicated under A Million Dreams Publishing. For more information on how you can launch your own book, podcast, or digital series, visit amilliondreamspublishing.com.